Hello, Libra. Welcome to your August soul session. Okay. I'm Princess India. If you're new, cards flew out there. And if you're family, welcome back, my friend, and whatnot, or whatever. I've noticed that my computer is lagging. I checked the internet. It's not the internet. I don't know what's going on. So you guys are unfortunately going to see me lagging. So my mouth is not matching up with what my hands are doing. And to kind of help that, I'm holding the cards up, but I'm not holding them up as long, because I have no idea how long the cards are up. But just throwing that out there, Libra, just throwing it out there. Anyway, your overall energy for August, we have the Nine of Pentacles. And this is, challenged by the Tower in the reverse, and that is Scorpio energy. I mean, it's looking pretty good for me, Libra. For the month of August, it's more or less you guys being focused on your own personal development. Ironically, if I were to say what's happening around you, I feel you guys are focused on your own development. And I mean, that could be like personally, that could be career wise. It could be saving money, building a business, working up the ladder in your career. However, I feel, and this is what I'm picking up intuitively, what it feels like is happening around you guys is sheer chaos, to put it lightly. You know what I mean? And this could be anything from less than stellar things happening to your friends or family members, or maybe there's like chaos that's happening at work. And it feels to me like how Libra would be receiving this is almost like you're waiting for the chaos to hit you too. You know what I mean? Because it's so many things that are happening around you. It's almost like spreading like a virus, if I could say it that way. And it's almost like Libra's mentality is like, I'm just going to put my head down. I'm going to focus on this. So I see almost like you guys working on yourself as like a coping mechanism in spite of the circumstances around you. But the thing that I can tell you, which is the good news, is that with this Tower in the reverse, it's like crisis averted. So I feel whatever headspace. So this is kind of like, a little good news, Libra. Whatever like foreboding kind of feeling that you guys may have, or if you in the back of your mind, it's just this thought of like, stuff's gonna go to hell for me eventually, you know what I mean? I'm just waiting for it. I can tell you that it's gonna, pass over you. Like it's gonna skip you in so many words. So granted, and I know I was talking to some of the girls on my staff, and I was talking to Seren the healer, and I was asking about like what was happening, like astrologically and stuff like that. And she was telling me, it's all kinds of things that are going on, like with Mercury retrograde and Saturn retrograde. And actually, the first word she responded to me when I was like, "What's going on in the sky right now?" She was like, she put in all caps, "attack." I was like, "Oh, well, that's appropriate," right? So legit, I can tell you guys for sure, whatever your worst case scenario is that you're thinking or that you're fearful of, I feel like that's going to pass over you. And this is so weird. The image I'm getting, I totally ignored it when I first saw it, but I don't know why it's coming up. But literally what I saw in my mind's eye was like literal Passover. You know what I mean? Like the story in the Bible about Passover, where like the Israelites were told to put like blood over their door. And like when the spirit, that's so weird with the card for today and the weekly being the death card. That's so ironic. Anyway, but the story where, the God told the Israelites to put blood over their door, like the blood of a lamb. And when the spirit of death, oh God, my camera's doing the thing. Anyway, but when the spirit of death like passed through Egypt, it passed by all of the houses that had blood on the door. Wow. So that's like a word, child. Okay, Libra. So that's the thing I saw. Like I literally saw a hand like smearing blood on the top of a door. So I take that as like a message for you, Libra. And what that message to me would be is like you're covered in so many words. So And I mean, if you're a Christian out there, you're covered by the blood, child. You know what I'm saying? So, in so many words, it's saying that you're covered. So, whatever this energy or spirit is, or whatever that's passing through, the whole collective or whatever, it's like it's not going to touch you. So, and I don't subscribe to the whole special people, chosen one type of thing. I don't subscribe to that because there's a whole pathology behind it. I'll get into that another day. But that's kind of similar to the vibe that I'm feeling. You know what I mean? It's like you're protected and you're covered. So whatever it is that's happening to people around you, it's not going to befall your household. So I hope that makes you feel better if you've been stressing, Libra. But anyway, moving right along. So getting to your more specific spread, your central energy representing you all. Did I say that for the overall energy? The overall energy is not representing you all. It's representing your overall energy. This represents you all. So the card representing you all is the King of Cuppies in the reverse. Your past influence is the Six of Cuppies. And I hope these are clear, y'all, because I can't tell. Your hidden influence is the King of Wands in the reverse. Interesting. And your potential outcome is the Justice in the reverse. That's Libra energy. And what to look out for moving forward is the Three of Pentacles. Interesting. So what it is looking like, Libra, a little bit of avoidance and a little bit of disassociation coming from the latter part of July into August. So I can see that with the Nine of Pentacles. There is a bit of a disassociative and avoidance energy, which is interesting because that's what a lot of my therapy sessions today were about, was avoidance. The thing I will tell you in reference to this, Libra, you're thinking of, and this can be self-torturous, I can tell you that, you're thinking of a time other than the present where you feel like things were kind of working like a well-oiled machine, a time in the past where you were a lot happier than you are now. And accordance with that, it's almost this mentality of where it is you were in the past. Thank you for that. You're idealizing it. And all of us as human beings have a tendency to do that, by the way. But where it is that you were in the past, right now, you're idealizing it. So you were happy at some juncture in your life in the past, and how you're seeing it where you are now is almost like you took that particular time for granted, or you should have handled things differently. You should have cherished it more. Where I feel this can be a problem is a story I always tell you guys, is the best advice one of my grad school professors gave me, is that the past is only good for two things, and that's to fill two boxes. And it's one box that's labeled shit and another box that's labeled shit that works, right? So in other words, the only time us looking into the past behooves us, right, is for us to fill the box of shit. It's just like all that was bullshit, right? And then for us to take away from that the shit that works. And that's what we're taking with us moving forward. So dwelling on things that have gone awry, or like, I should have been more grateful for that, it's neither here nor there. And this is kind of like a reality check, because truth be told, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it because the past no longer exists. Dwelling about what you could have done different isn't really going to do anything either. You can take shit that has worked then, right? And you can apply that to the present, but it's like self-abuse in a sense to torture yourself about how you should have made different choices, and my life would be so different now if I would have done stuff differently then. It's more or less having that initial pain of radical acceptance, like accepting, yeah, this is what it is. And the only thing that I can do right now is implement that shit that works in the present. So I do feel with Libra, there is a little bit of like malingering with happier times. However, I feel that's yet another disassociative kind of tactic, because all of this is not dealing with where it is that you are now. And I can say that is a thing that, Libras be doing. You know what I'm saying? Because indecisiveness within itself, which is the main, stereotypical character trait, a lot of people talk about with Libras, indecisiveness is, the same thing I'm talking about by yet another name. You know what I mean? But I feel what really would behoove Libra in this present moment, especially coming into this King of Cups in the reverse, is to kind of face where it is that you are and accept it, like have that radical acceptance. If you don't know what radical acceptance is, because that's not just like a fuddy-duddy word that I'm just putting two words together, little adjective. Radical acceptance is actually a thing. I would Google that. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll teach you a lot. But I feel radical acceptance is really what would be your salvation in a sense, because with this King of Cups in the reverse representing you all in the month of August, I feel there's a lot of things that Libra is trying to avoid, and it's externally and internally. And to be honest with you, going back to your overall energy and your challenge, I feel that could quite possibly be the reason why. Like, you have this foreboding feeling that, all the stuff you're seeing happening is going to happen to you. And it's like Spirit is saying, hey, that's not going to happen to you. You don't have to worry about that. However, what it is that's existing underneath all of this is what we need to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And more or less the proverbial, waters of your soul, your emotions, they're bubbling up because of this King of Wands and the reverse and your hidden influence. Now, for some of you, and I'm clarify this, for some of you, I feel this is you. Others of you, and I mean, even if it is you, this is something like past tense. I feel this is a person that's from you guys past. For some of you, it could be a father figure that was impossible to please or potentially abandoned you. This could be an ex-husband. This could be, a former partner. But I feel whoever this person is, and to give you a little bit of insight into this, if you could look over the course of your life, if like this isn't a father figure, because this would probably be a little difficult if it's a father figure, depending on, the situation with your father. But if you could look over your life, who this person is someone where there's like a crossroads in your life. Like, you were one person, and then after interacting with this particular person, after this interaction with this particular person, and I don't mean just like one, but like after a relationship, friendship, whatever, with this particular person, because I mean, it could be a boss too, but it's like you morphed as a person after that. So there's like, you look at your life path and you were headed in one direction and were one person. This event happened and you went on a whole nother trail and became someone else. So it's like there were kind of parts of yourself or personality traits that you kind of shifted after this particular experience. And I feel where this translates into this being an individual thing, and this is something you guys have heard me talk about a lot of times when we're mistreated by a person or misused, because I can't say the A word, misused with an A, by a person, we end up inadvertently becoming our misuser because of, my whole Likert scale theory. We were this particular person, we were misused. Now we go to the other side of the Likert scale to protect ourselves from, being the person that this particular thing happened to. You know what I mean? And from us overcompensating, both sides of the Likert scale are two sides of one coin. So we've inadvertently ran right into the thing that we were trying to run away from, right? So a lot of times we end up unknowingly becoming our misuser, not in the sense of us doing it to other people, but in the fact that the same way that they suppressed us, we are now continuing on that tradition by us misusing ourselves, and limiting and suppressing ourselves, right? So I feel the reason why this particular thing, whatever this is that you guys are dodging, because how I'm seeing it is this, if this thing were to happen, which is not, it would be like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? And I feel that Libra is already in a very sensitive state and place at this particular moment. right? So I can't deny this is literally like the universe protecting you in a sense. But however, and I'm still getting back to this, but I'm jumping ahead to talk about this outcome to make sense of this with the justice in the reverse. It's bringing personal accountability back to you, right? Because how you guys could be feeling presently is as if life is unfair, right? Like everything is unjust. You're always getting the short end of the stick. Like every time, you take two steps forward, you're always getting kicked, you take one step forward, you're getting kicked two steps back. You know what I mean? Every time I think that I'm ahead, something happens. Every time I'm saving money, it's like something else happens, right? So it's feeling as if life is happening to you as opposed to for you. And I feel what the main message is in all of this month, that spirit is trying to get you, well, facilitating the arena to help you get this message, is understanding that in spite of what it is that happens around you, right? Like I was saying in the beginning, you still have control over how you choose to respond to it. What I'm seeing with this is that Libra is electing to not respond to it at all. It's like numbing yourself out in a sense, and that's not really going to help you, right? I feel like the most difficult thing is dealing with this energy in the King of Cups and like facing the music, which is why I say an ideal therapeutic tool to utilize in this time frame is radical acceptance, right? Because it's accepting this is what it is. I cannot change it. Is it fair? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? But it's like that is life. There are things, bad things happen to good people, right? But I'm going to chart forward and handle what it is that I can, right? But the whole key with this avoidance and disassociation, you see it as, because it's a maladaptive coping mechanism, you see it as helping you to like survive in a sense, but it's hurting you more than anything because you're not just disassociating from the world or people, you're disassociating from yourself. And it puts you into this position that this justice in the reverse is talking about, to where you're backing yourself into the corner and forcing yourself into indecisiveness because you're not making a decision. You know what I mean? So as opposed to facing what it is that's happening, it's like, I'm going to close my eyes to what's happening. None of this is happening. I'm just going to focus on something else to, distract myself, right? But in the midst of that, you're still not taking agency. You're not empowering yourself to do something about your situation. It's just kind of like numbing out and hoping that things kind of work, in your favor or whatever, right? But the only way that things are ever going to work in your favor is if you're actually charting the path on it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel going back to the beginning, Libra is in this headspace. Like if we go back to the analogy with the Israelites and everything, it's like if Libra were to put themselves in that position, and it's like, Moses comes into town and is just like, the spirit of death is passing through Egypt tonight. And that's like Libra being like, oh shit, right? But what you do is like, none of this is happening right now. I'm going to go knit a sweater, right? So you go inside and you're just knitting a sweater and you just knitting away, knit. And you're just, none of this is happening. But mind you, the charge that was given was like, go put some lamb's blood on the door. You know what I'm saying? But it's not even wanting to deal with that. Now, how that story ends is that, the spirit of death passes through, right? But if Libra were to disassociate and knit that sweater, never put the blood on the door, then when that spirit passes through, it would get you too. And whose fault would that be? Would it be that feeling of, gosh, this is so unfair, jacked up things always happen to me, I be trying so hard? It's like, no, that would be your fault because you had a solution, but were so overwhelmed by the problem that you didn't implement the solution. And that's what the outcome with the justice in the reverse is talking about. The message is telling Libra that what you need to do is pick yourself up from the bootstraps. There is a solution to your problem. Is it fun to go get a cute little baby lamb and, unalive it and then put blood on your hands to put it on the door? No, none of that is fun. None of that is convenient. However, right? That's what is the solution to your problem. It does require a little bit of work. It's not an ideal situation because I'm pretty sure we would all hope that the spirit of death would just not pass through Egypt. You know what I mean? But radical acceptance says we have no control over that. You know, the great Dundada has spoken. The spirit is the coming. You know what I'm saying? This is the only solution to it, right? So that's kind of similar to the situation I feel you guys are in. And what spirit is trying to lead you to is your own agency, so you can, you know, or like erect yourself out of certain situations and problems. Now, going back to this King of Wands in the reverse, I want to clarify this to see if I can get any other details. Okay. Ooh. Well, that was straight to the point. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see that, but the card clarifying, because the cards are small, clarifying this King of Wands in the reverse is the enemy card. I'm like, that, yeah, you know. And I mean, since we're talking about spiritual stuff, to all my Christians out there, you know, we could say that this is the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like the real enemy. You know what I'm saying? That's the hidden influence. You know, the enemy that's, you know, telling you less than stellar things about yourself and making you rewind your past and all of that. Watching it, like binge watching your past, like a good Netflix series and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I was saying. For a lot of you, I feel like it could be a father figure, but I do feel this is more a person on your life path. And I feel that this is like a shit human being. Like, you know, someone who's like a romantic partner that broke your heart or was misusive or something along those lines. But the qualifier for this to kind of know who this person is like I said, on your life path, you were one person, but when you met this person, like something in you shifted and you became someone that you have not been. And for those of you specifically where this was like a real like heavy misusive type of relationship, this is something that needs to be confronted. And y'all always know when I talk about stuff this deep, because if this is like a DD type of situation, I would strongly suggest, you know, going to see a licensed professional. So getting a friendly local neighborhood therapist, because processing, you know, trauma to this extent, when it's like DV and misusive type of things, it's imperative to work with a licensed professional, just because when you're coming out of situations like that, your mind gets kind of tricky on you. You know what I mean? To where you jump to the other side of the Likert scale and you have what I call like pseudo empowerment, to where your mindset becomes very like, this will never be me again. How do people end up in situations like this? And I'll be damned if I ever let something like that happen to me. And it's kind of like being in a zealot stage of healing. But that is a process that everybody goes through in healing, but it's kind of needing to balance that out. And you can't do that without a third party, because you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. You know what I mean? And I'm trying not to get too deep into it, because that's a whole nother conversation within itself. And especially if you've experienced like narcissistic misuse, which is my specialty in therapy, by the way, I can say from personal experience, that is no small potatoes, like trying to come out of something like that, like gray walling somebody and going no contact. That's literally the first start of the healing process. It's the amount of work that needs to be done as an individual after that is a lot. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of, you know, shifts to your perception, your perspective. It's dealing with self-trust, like having issues with self-betrayal, not being able to trust your own judgment, on top of, you know, horrendous things this person may have told you about yourself. And being in an environment like that for an extended period of time, it really shifts your perspective. So like getting out is just step one. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work. I work with a lot of amazing women. I've worked with a lot of amazing women overcoming this. So that's no small potatoes. But that leads me into what to look out for moving forward, being the Three of Pentacles, which is pretty much saying what I just said, is the fact of teamwork is a huge element for you all. So it's more or less either going to your sister circle, your tribe, going to, you know, a licensed professional, you know what I mean, to help you through this process. Like what it is that Libra is dealing with, I feel this whole reading is saying this is not something like a burden you should be bearing alone, right? This is a season in your life when the most, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't get a good word. Let's just throw in a good behoove. What would behoove Libra at this season in your life would be involving other people in your process. And I'm not saying like know any and everybody, right? But I stress like a licensed professional, like I said, your sister circle, a trusted friend, a rabbi, preacher, teacher, whatever the case. But I feel where it is that you are now, you're in a season to where you kind of need to sit at I'm not going to say need. It would behoove you to sit at the feet of someone else and allowing someone else to help guide you through this process, right? But the thing my guides are telling me in reference to that, there's some Libras who are watching this where there's a level of distrust even with that. And it's because of things that you went through past tense to where you're going through your healing journey, but you don't necessarily trust other people. Like you're very skeptical. And what I'm being told to say in reference to that is that goes back to your own lack of trust for yourself. Because it's like, it's not trusting your own judgment because there's certain people that you allowed into your space or that you trusted that screwed you over. You know what I'm saying? And it's the thought of, if I can't make proper judgments on who to let in or who not, right? Then, I don't really know about letting new people in, in this particular process. Now, the only thing I can tell you in reference to that about, us licensed professionals, you know what I'm saying, is hashtag HIPAA. You know what I'm saying? We don't be telling your business because we lose our license if we did. You know what I'm saying? So you have confidentiality with a therapist. So I always liken us to like a priest. You know what I'm saying? We keep as many secrets as the priest does. You know what I'm saying? So, and then there's no judgment. You know what I mean? So it's like coming into a therapeutic alliance. It's like that is a safe space. That's a safe person that you can allow into your process. But I also tell clients, just like you would date a dude or a chick, date your therapist. You know what I'm saying? Just about every single therapist out there offers free consultations. You know what I'm saying? And there's absolutely nothing against going to a consultation to kind of, maybe I need to like stop calling mine a consultation. Maybe I need to call it like a vibe session. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we're just going to talk, kind of vibe a little bit, and you can feel me out and see if like I'm the therapist for you. Because I always say there's nothing wrong with breaking up with your therapist. And I'm sorry, I don't want to make this whole lecture about therapists, but I'm just going to throw a few things in here. I always say date your therapist because I tell my clients the first day, you actually want to like your therapist, because if you don't like your therapist, you're not going to do good work with them, right? You want to at least have a sense of like a vibe or a bond with your therapist. And if you don't vibe with your therapist, there's absolutely nothing wrong with breaking up with them, right? The second thing that you want to look at that's important is what your therapist's therapeutic approach is. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people's therapeutic approach, which is the type of therapy they practice, like cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. For me, I'm DBT. I use a little bit of CBT. And I'm Gestalt, you know what I'm saying? But it's good to know that, because not every therapeutic approach is ideal for every single client. So, where it is that they're coming from may not be, ideal for just your personality type. And the other thing I would look at is finding out, like if you're using insurance, this is something a lot of people don't know. If you're using insurance, your insurance is probably only going to cover for like 6 to maybe at the most 12 sessions. And your therapist is probably going to have to get approval for like 6 more. And that's if they approve it. And whenever sessions are structured that way, that is behavioral therapy. And behavioral therapy is different than like counseling or, you know what I'm saying? Like psychotherapy, whatever you want to call it. Like it's different. Because with behavioral therapy, that's when you're just going to be getting straight like CBT, like thought reformation, maladaptive behaviors, distorted thinking patterns. Like, it's just that, because it's giving you like tools, right? It's not really like deep process therapy, which is why, like, in my private practice, why I don't even bother accepting insurance anymore, because the work that my clients come to do with me, it is not a 6 to 12 session deal. I do, and that's considered short-term therapy. I do long-term therapy. So a lot of times my clients are with me for years, sometimes, right? Because it's a lot of stuff to process. You know what I'm saying? So, because I don't know. That's a little side note, Libra, but I hear that a lot on the interwebs, of people being like, oh my God, like, you're still in therapy. And it's like, because I went to therapy, and I'm like, yeah, because you did like 6 to 12 session CBT. You didn't process anything. It's like you came in there with a particular problem. They gave you some skills, and that's it. You can't process childhood trauma or any of that stuff in 6 to 12 sessions. Like that's not humanly possible. You know what I'm saying? If I could give people breakthroughs like that, child, we'd be out here changing the world. But that's something a lot of people don't know. So I might need to make a whole video on that, because I feel like people are miseducated. And I think it's horrible that there's people out there like judging people on therapy. Like, how are you still in therapy? And I'm just like, you did 6 to 12 sessions. That does not mean you delivered, child. You know what I'm saying? They had to discharge you because your copay ran out. Just saying. But anyway, that's just a side note. But anyway, Libra, that is your soul session for August. I hope the information I shared with you is helpful. I hope, my computer doing whatever it's doing wasn't too distracting. Most of you guys tell me that y'all just be listening to me while y'all doing things because y'all like my voice, which is interesting to me. But anyway, I hope that this was helpful. Most certainly let me know in the comments. I still have my GoFundMe going because I am trying to get a new computer. So things like this do not happen. Y'all, I am fantasizing about getting this new computer because I'm just like, stuff is going to be so different when I get this new computer. So if you want to support me, the link is going to be in the description box below. It's also on my community tab. Thank you to all of you guys who have donated so far. But anywho, I love your freaking face, Libra, and I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.